Hello everybody, this is Simon Clark from Trade with Precision discussing some of my key markets of interest this week. Now the first market I want to take a look at here is Great British Pound against the US dollar. I spoke about this market a couple of weeks ago as the market was coming up to this sort of level that we can see here forming on the weekly chart. In fact, the markets tested that level around 128,000 a number of times on the daily charts as well. Now what I was saying was I was expecting the market to find continued support here and more and for us to experience some more consolidation until until we'd got a clear understanding of when the UK government was going to release Article 50 and set about and confirm the date of the UK leaving the European Union. Now there's been quite a bit of news coming out over this over the past couple of weeks, and that news has now been published. So we now know that that is going to happen in the early part of 2017, and as a result of that the pound has broken this level and continued its move to the short side. So let's take a look at the market here and start to look at what sort of opportunities we can see. Now first of all, on this market, the market's sold off, as we can see. It's sold off an awful long way, and one of the questions that many traders are going to be thinking is, well, can the market go any lower? And the simple answer is yes. This is not the lowest point that cable has been over, well, certainly in my lifetime. We can go back to sort of 84, 85, and we can see that cable actually came down to, well, just shy of the parity level back in that time. So the market, potentially has got much further to go before it starts to break into new lows. It's certainly breaking new recent lows at the moment. So at this moment in time, there doesn't seem to be anything in the way resisting the price from continuing its downward trend. So on that basis, there's no evidence of any buying momentum coming in. So I still want to be looking for opportunities short, certainly where the main direction seems to be. So what I'm starting to do is to come down to lower time frames and start to see the market structure here a bit more clearly. If we come to the daily chart, for example, what we can see is that the market's looking a bit overstretched at the moment from the moving averages. So after a big move like this, a bit of a pullback is quite reasonable, and a pullback into the moving averages is even better. Now at the moment, a sort of a pullback into the level here that has been previous support could be an area of potential resistance. Now if the market was strong enough to pull back up into that area, that would be rather nice. Looking for a potential opportunity to get positioned around that area. By that time the moving averages would have moved down as well. Now if we start to come down a little bit lower, I'll show you the sorts of price action I like to look for. We can see here on the 4-hour chart we've got nice trend structure forming here on the 4-hour chart, moving averages moving nicely as well, and the market's just sort of pulling back up into this sort of zone here in between the 10 and the 20 period moving average. So this is a sort of market structure that I'll look for to be able to sort of get positioned around sort of bearish momentum that starts to set in once the markets pull back to that sort of equilibrium level. Okay, now the next market I want to take a look at today is crude oil, and I've spoken about crude oil in the past, but we've actually had some fairly major news out from a fundamental perspective on crude oil, and that is that eventually now OPEC have got agreement to put a cut in the production of oil. So this has had quite an impact on the price of oil, as we'd expect. A cut in production means that there's going to be a shortage or or less supply, and that's going to mean higher prices. Certainly in the markets we can see that that news has been has received positive news, and the price of oil has increased certainly over the past sort of couple of weeks. Now I think the market's coming up to some rather key levels here, so this is why I wanted to discuss crude oil. So let me just get a bit of data on here. If we look at this here on the weekly chart, we've been talking about a couple of levels in this market for a while now. Now the one up here where the market's just coming up to at the moment is the $50 level. The one that we've got underneath is it's just around sort of like $37 level. So we've got two levels there that the market sort of tested a number of times before. There's also the $44 level through here as well, which is sort of fairly significant on the slightly lower time frames. But we can see that the market certainly found resistance at $50 many times before. In fact, it's a very, very key level on this market. So now we've got the market coming back up to 50 again. If I come and take this down to the daily chart, we can start to see this in a bit more detail. So we can see how 44 has found support. Now we've got bullish price action off 44. Next stop here is 50. We know that level's quite significant from the higher time frames, but everything's looking very bullish here. We've got bullish price action, moving averages in the right order, and we've got convergence on the indicators too. So I think $50 is a real key level here in oil. You know, the market's got a real decision point here. It's either going to find support here, resistance here, and the market's going to pull back down again. If it does, I think we can see an easy retest down here towards the sort of $44 level again. I think this time though, because it's supported by sort of fundamentals, I think that there's a fair chance that the market may break through the $50 level. If we can get a decisive break and a confirmation of that, and what I mean by that is a breakthrough, a pullback and retest, and then a move on again, then that's what I look for a confirmation of that break. Then I'll be looking for opportunities long on oil, and starting to look for the next leg of this trend. So the question is then, if 50 gets broken, where is the next potential level on this market? And we can see up here, well, on the weekly chart, the next sort of level of potential market structure is around the sort of $60 level. So quite a long distance from current price action, and I'll be looking for trading opportunities in between there. So there's a couple of markets that I'm keeping a close eye on over the next sort of forthcoming weeks for trading opportunities. I certainly hope you find it useful, hope it helps, and look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.